He's not gonna like it.
We'll see.
His reviews will get you further than the film will ever go. If you give him just a moment of your time, he'll let you know which movies rock, which movies stink, which movies shouldn't have been released. Say hello to Confused Matthew.
So this was my first David Lynch film. And if it hadn't been requested, I would never have watched a David Lynch film in my life. Ordinarily, this is the kind of movie I'd get really pissed off about, and I'd go on some sort of loud tirade about how this isn't a film, nothing happened, there was no story, etc. But I'm not going to do that here. Well, I am, but I'm not going to get mad about it. Everything I just said about the film is true, of course, but I think I was a little more prepared for that this time around. As I said, I had never seen a David Lynch film before, but I did learn quite a bit about him from a friend of mine who was into him. I remember this guy telling me about a quote from David Lynch years ago, which reads as follows: "It makes me uncomfortable to talk about meanings and things. It's better not to know so much about what things mean, because the meaning is a very personal thing, and the meaning for me is different than the meaning for somebody else." As soon as I learned about this quote, I responded with, "Okay, well, thank you for being upfront with me about that. I will never watch any of your movies, but at least you were honest about it." David Lynch makes films for the sake of making them. He doesn't know what they mean, yet he expects that we do, and that the meaning we make up is just as good as his. Even though he wrote it. And we didn't. And honestly, if I hadn't been aware of that quote and quotes like it in advance, this movie probably would have made me mad. But I had a little warning this time, so I kind of knew what to expect going into this. It's kind of like the difference between being kicked in the balls and being kicked in the balls with warning. So, Mulholland Drive, my first David Lynch film. What did I think? I don't know. I don't know what was happening in this movie. I don't know who anybody was. I don't know what was going on. I didn't know what I was supposed to care about. This movie wasn't really a movie. It was just a series of scenes and dialogue arbitrarily strewn about a film reel. Mulholland Drive was put together with all the talent and mastery of a drunken intern who came in with a hangover and slapped the film together at the last minute. Issues are raised and then abandoned, arbitrary moments come out of nowhere, characters appear and disappear for no reason. Watching Mulholland Drive is like listening to someone's random stream of consciousness while stoned. One thing I will say before talking about the actual parts of the film that matter is that David Lynch is a fucking good director. Every scene is a visual marvel, which is kind of like saying that a terrible book has a really nice shiny cover. Moving on to the actual film. Basically, the movie opens with an arbitrary dance scene, then a woman is in a car wreck and wanders into someone else's house who turns out to be an actress who is staying there. Oh, and two detectives sit in a diner and one of them explains a dream he had and then the dream turns out to come true. They never get back to that. Anyway, a film director is given her portfolio and doesn't want her to be in the film, but everyone else insists she must. His wife cheated on him and then a cowboy tries to force him to cast her. I'm not kidding about that. The woman tries to find out who she is, then they go to a theater where a woman is singing and then collapses. Oh, and at the end there's a random blue box with a blue key that the actress opens and then she disappears. Then I think it turns out that the whole thing was someone's dream, and these two chicks have a relationship that one of them wants out of. You know, is there any point to explaining any of this nonsense? Let me just do this in the shorthand. A bunch of stuff happened. The end. If you are a fan of this film, you probably have your own interpretations of what happened. So here's mine. I think the Smurfs in the Smurf Kingdom were playing Sonic the Hedgehog and decided to take some Vicodin. So then Mario came alive, and the kind of primitive, unjust, laissez-faire capitalism, the kind of robber baron capitalism of every man for himself and the devil take the hindmost, which does not conform to the idea of political liberty and the good life in the good society. And also Joyce DeWitt was there. Coat hangers. That's my interpretation, and it's just as valid as yours, I guess. But here's the real answer. It didn't mean anything. That's all. It was just a crappy film. Oh, and one more thing. If you're a fan of this film, don't tell me there's a coherent plot here and that I'm just not seeing it. That's impossible. David Lynch himself has said that we're all supposed to make up what this film means, which makes this film either meaning something or not meaning something 50-50 at best. Although in reality, the chances of this movie meaning nothing are 100%. Let me just make this simple and quote another critic whose name I dare not pronounce, so I'll just put it up on the screen here. He throws everything into the mix with the lone goal of confusing us. Nothing makes any sense because it's not supposed to make any sense. There's no purpose or logic to events. Lynch is playing a big practical joke on us. Fuck. Thank you. So, you can do one of two things here. You can make up that this film means something brilliant and try to pass that subjective interpretation off as objective fact, or you can just accept the fact that it doesn't mean anything, which even Lynch seems to admit, and just move on with your life and not bother with this garbage. I guess it's really up to you. If you would like to watch Mulholland Drive but don't have any money for a rental, here's what you do. Go to your television set, program your TV to arbitrarily flip through channels, then just make some shit up about the sequence of unrelated events that you see. It's exactly the same thing. Purple Monkey Dishwasher.